Alright guys, I want to do a little video here while I'm driving along, and I want to talk about tattoos, court, and self-defense shootings, and just bring up some points that some of you may have never thought of before. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say that I know that tattoos and stuff are a big fad right now, and it's kind of ironic because, you know, tattoos used to be a thing that people got, and it made them unique, and it was something different. And now, with the fad and the tattoo shop on every corner, everybody's like everybody else now if you get a tattoo, you know, especially with the barbed wire around the bicep, and you know, I don't know how many thousands of guys in the 90s, everybody who went to the gym, I think, got that barbed wire around the bicep thing, which was so played out. Anyway, this is not going to be talking about tattoos that can be covered up. This is more talking about tattoos that are exposed, in particular, that can be seen even with clothing, which is still pretty rare, but not always. We're going to talk about some self-defense things and tattoos and different things, and, you know, people labeling people and things like that. First of all, I will state to you that I do not have a tattoo on me at all, and I never would get a tattoo. Now, right now, I know I'm about to flip some wigs when I say this, what I'm about to tell you about tattoos, but it's the truth anyhow. Back in history, and if you want to get into this and you want to find the real history on tattoos, you can dig and look for it. But if you go back to the real meanings of tattoos and the history of things, any time that there is ever bloodletting from the human body, where it's voluntary and on purpose, it's always had to deal with witchcraft, okay? And I'll just stop it right there on that. If you want to dig into history and stuff and read that, I know most of you I'm probably telling you things that you never heard of. But if you want to get into the history and different things going way back, you can look up into that for yourself and the real meanings of tattoos and the people who used to get them. Okay. Second of all, we're going to talk about, in particular, people going to court for a self-defense shooting where the self-defense shooting was questionable, and maybe there was a question in the shooting, okay? Like, it's not cut and dry. Like, it's not a guy was shooting up a building and you went in and you shot him, but the shooting is questionable for whatever reason. And you have visible tattoos that show with clothing. And some of the way people look at tattoos as being, and the way what tattoos used to really represent before it was a fad. See, before tattoos were this big fad now that people want to get all over the place, there used to be about 3 groups of people that had tattoos, primarily. Okay? So you had, one of the groups was gang affiliation. It was a way that you could show loyalty and show that you are committed to that gang, was to tattoo things about that gang and its name and different things that dealt with the gang on your body. So like out in Los Angeles, California, or just basically anywhere where there was the real gangs, they tattooed to show that they were, you know, truly and thoroughly loyal with that set, because, you know, the tattoo's on there for life. Okay, another set of people that got tattoos a lot was bikers, particularly biker gangs. So it's another type of gang, but it was biker gangs. You know, you see, you know, typical biker, chain wallet, you know, jean vest, jean coat on with no sleeves, you know, just a typical, you know, black boots, Harley Davidson rider, you know, guys in a gang. That was another class of people that got tattoos. Now, the most prominent, now I'm talking, this is going back in the not so distant past, okay? Before tattoos were this big fad where everybody wants to, you know, where a lot more people are getting them than whatever did in history. The most common people to get tattoos, and this is where this gets into the point of my video, was prisoners. Tattoos will always be associated with prisoners because prisoners are the #1 group of people that get tattoos. Why? Because when you're in prison, you don't walk alone. If you do walk alone, you're not going to make it very far in prison. What does walking alone mean? Walking alone means you go into prison and you don't identify yourself with either the Aryan Brotherhood, with the blacks, or with the Hispanics. If you're not in one of those groups, and by the way, you have to be that race to be in that group. But if you're not in one of those groups, you are what's called walking alone. Okay? And if you walk alone, you have nobody to have your back. Okay, so like, if you're white, you're in the Aryan Brotherhood, or if you're black, you're with the black set, or if you're Hispanic, you're with a Hispanic set. And all three groups tattoo themselves all over the place from top to bottom when they're in prison. Okay? So, the tattoos show, because in prison, everything's the same. Concrete, steel, same uniform, same shoes. Basically, everything is the same in prison. So the only way to differentiate yourself from other people is to get tattoos, okay? Because basically everything you wear, everything you see, and everything you do is the same in prison. There's not variety of things, a lot of variety of things you can do. You can't just go get different labels and shirts that say things. You're wearing a uniform. So the tattoos differentiate. Okay, so basically when you get into prison, you're going to have to join one of the groups, or you're going to have to try to walk alone. And if you try to walk alone, you're probably not going to make it very far, like I said. So you're pretty much forced to the Aryan Brotherhood. I'm not sure what the black group is called. Some of the Hispanics are MS-13, and you got to go into one of those groups, and that's the only way that you have protection in prison. So, and this has been going back for years. So, tattoos are always identified with prisons. Okay, most people and your older generations, when they see a tattoo, they think of prison, because that was the main place that people got tattoos, was prison. Okay, so it's just people are people. Okay, and we profile every day. Now, I'm not saying racial profiling. I'm saying we profile every day. It's the most common human instinct that we have in police and other people. And what do I mean by profiling, excluding racial profiling? Okay? Profiling means that by the way a person dresses, looks, and acts, you can determine what group or class of people that they associate with. Now, we're not talking race here, so let me just get that out of the way, because I know people get very sensitive on that. We're not talking race. We're talking identifying groups by how they dress and appear and what they do. Some people want to be parts of groups and they dress the part, but they're not. What do I mean by this? I can tell when I see kids that are skaters. Okay? I can tell when I see kids that are thugs, want to be thugs. I can tell when I see kids that are emo and they have all their black on and they paint their nails black. I can tell when I see kids that have the chain wallet and the different ways they dress, that they're wanting to be more like the hippies, the burnouts. Skin color doesn't always have to play into it, but for some, it's just a fact of nature that for some things and for some certain dresses and cultures, that there is different things that doesn't really cross lines. Let's just put it that way. It's just a fact of nature. So profiling used, identifying people. If you see a kid with a spiked mohawk and the sides of his head shaved, and it's dyed green, and he usually wears a certain type of clothing, you can tell. You can just. I'm just trying to say, we profile people. We're very visual. Okay, that's our number one thing is visual, what we see. So when you have a self-defense shooting and you go to court and there are visible tattoos, what impact can that have on the jury? I guess to the point of my video. Now, there is a guy on YouTube, a self-proclaimed firearms instructor. This is not James Yeager that I'm speaking of. This has nothing to do with James Yeager, and he has some old school tattoos on his arms that can be covered up, so it's not James Yeager. But there's somebody on YouTube that's a self-proclaimed firearms instructor that has some tattoos that go down to the backs of his hands. Now, it used to be that tattoo people would not tattoo on the backs of hands, on your forehead, or on your face, but that's changed here recently. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're in a questionable shoot and you go into court and there's a jury there, and older people, women, whatever, you have a different variety of people in that jury, and they see these tattoos, visually, what do they class you as? Obviously, you think enough about visuals that you wanted to put a tattoo on your body for some reason. So don't tell me that you don't realize that we are visual people when we see things, and we judge a lot based on visuals. So you know this when you go to get that tattoo. There's a reason you want it. You know everybody's going to see it. Some people, you know people's going to think different things depending on the way you dress and act. You might just want it to be cool, whatever. There's different reasons. You might have a relative that died and you put that on there. Whatever. This kind of excludes military tattoos. I don't believe that a military tattoo, like that says, from the Marines or the Trident, that signifies prisoner people in people's minds. But I'm just saying, you go into court and you have visible tattoos, and there was a questionable shoot you were in. Could that be enough to sway a juror? I think it could. Would you, if you were going to go to court for a shooting, you had to go before a jury, would you shave the sides of your head, wear a mohawk, and dye it red before you went into court the next morning? Absolutely not, you wouldn't. Because you would want to look your best. Your lawyer is going to tell you to wear a suit. Your lawyer is going to make sure that one of your family members or somebody gets you a new suit to wear. Why? Because that lawyer understands how important it is the way you look in front of the jury. You want a conservative haircut. You don't necessarily want a long, bushy caveman beard. You want to look as clean cut, as nice as you can, and that's what your lawyer's going to tell you. Okay? So could having these tattoos that are exposed sway a juror against you in a shooting? Just for the fact that people still associate tattoos with prisoners. Just something to think about. Give me your comments and questions and whatever you have and concerns below, and we can discuss this and see what everybody thinks about that, about your appearance in court if you ever have a self-defense shooting. Because I don't know if I finished this or not. I'm not using notes, but the guy on YouTube that is a self-proclaimed firearms trainer that has tattoos that are exposed, this is basically where I was looking at this and got to thinking about it. We're very visual as human beings, and naturally, realistically, normally the first thing that human beings do when they see somebody is when they meet somebody is what they look at, what they see. A lot of times we judge wrong. Sometimes we're right. Sometimes we have instincts and feelings. But the fact of the matter remains that tattoos are still associated with prisoners, going back to the fact that that's where they're most prominent, and there is a purpose for tattoos in prison. So, like I said, questions and comments, concerns below, and let's discuss this. Tell me your feelings on this and what you think about tattoos that can't be covered up and go into court. You have a tattoo on your neck, you go into court and you can't cover it up, tattoo on the backs of your hands. Your local law enforcement department will not hire you if you have tattoos on the backs of your hands and you have tattoos up on your neck or face that you can't cover. And there's a reason for that. So if you don't think what I'm speaking about is on point, then how come that call your local law enforcement and ask them if they'll hire you with tattoos on the backs of your hands or on your forehead or high on your neck, and they will assuredly tell you no. All right, guys, until next time, I hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, I'll do more, and I'll probably do more anyway. This is H4T, and I am out.